ahead and call this meeting to order finally. Show up. You can let the minutes reflect the people right here, and we do have just enough for a quorum. Approval of May 25th meeting and June 1st special meeting minutes. Let's try to get them both in one if we could. Unless there's some.
One question on the June minutes, at the end.
Okay.
This motion was passed, I'd like to vote no. I'm gonna be singled out as a no vote. I'd like to, for the minutes to reflect that there was also one abstention, and that's the mayor. If there's no objection, or list what everybody voted and how they voted, one or the other. I'll make the motion to approve with that, that correction.
Seconded.
All in favor? Any opposed? Minutes for May 25th regular meeting and June 1st special call meeting was passed with one minute. All right. May financial report.
Is this the end this month? Next month?
We're 1 month behind.
It was also provided to you earlier. Everyone had a chance to review the financial report. If there's any.
Looks really good. No.
Motion to approve the financials.
You have a motion on the table?
Second.
That's it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah.
I like this new format on them. I think it's pretty easy to read.
We've come a long way. A long way.
Yes.
On and off the May, looks like we got a little bit of tick up, not really much to. Kind of leveled out, Tom. You know, that's.
We've gotten got trained on the new system and about to get fully activated. We had trouble with one tower not reading. They went out today and got it. It had some protection in there, got it working. So it'll take a few days to, takes about 72 hours for it to fully, start doing its, getting the data together before it starts telling you something. So they'll be all fully working. We'll get all the meters we can possibly get. We've been under rate about 700, 750, and the rest been rated by the system. So if this tower gets up, that'll lessen that number. It was just not. The SIMS card had to be reset. Somehow it said that's what the alarm was. So they wanted they didn't do that. So he said everything looked good now that they were. It just takes about 72 hours for it to acclimate. We'll see what it can do. And then it does, so we can set up alarms and on those big meters. It'll cause something changes on the plug.
If we've been notified, and this may be the wrong time to even ask this, I apologize for taking it later. If we've been notified of any large cost increases on chemicals and things,
We're still the same right there.
do you anticipate that?
Right now, I hadn't beat them out yet. But the company we went to, I've been talking to them about doing. You got a program where you get it locked down. And if there's only an increase, that's the only time you get something from it. We're looking at that program. But, I'm trying to get them to at least commit to our current prices for the next, till we can decide about that. And also, there's something we're looking at doing, we was gonna do something at the water plant to change out some old antiquated chemical feed systems. They can put some new pennies on the chemical transfer price and install those newer smart metering systems to, it'll pace off the flow and the operator just goes in there and tells it how many parts in it. Right now it's hard to, it's just no tube system and you just turn a dial. I hope it would make her, like if they had to change the flow, it would automatically adjust, so you're not wasting any chemicals. I think sometimes we might have, if we had to take the filter down, they have to figure out how to go turn all that back, but it'll automatically do all that for them. When somebody other than the guys down there, we have to go there and do it for them right now, because some of them don't have calculators. So,
I guess my main question is, it's obvious that we're heading into a bit of an inflationary cycle, shall we say, with economics as far as cost of
you will see,
product and raw materials and chemicals.
we've seen a jump in our material prices. for
Okay,
sure.
so we need to be aware of that and make sure that we adjust our budget accordingly is
Well,
where I was going with asking that, just so that we're kind of, I know you're conscious of it, I want us to be conscious of it.
before those prices jumped, my purchase price, the extra materials and they're sitting on the yard, because I didn't want to get in that 20%, 30% increase.
Good.
That'll help us out, we might run out of it, but we bought up quite a bit of stuff, so we'll
Good.
hopefully carry us through till it falls off.
Stabilize.
Stabilize.
Yeah.
More water loss.
Looks like it's holding about what it has, it's been averaging just under 40 all year. It's fluctuated a little bit.
Spikes like there was last year.
Yeah, really spiked.
And the mayor asked a question about, I was looking at the water treatment plant, the raw water meter situation there. They've been reading out of whack. And there is a check valve it's gotta be replaced, but it was bleeding by one, it's, where it, got seals in where the arm raises up, and closes on a check valve. It was bleeding right there, and we was able to stop a lot of that flow. And it has improved the readings, so we are, and we did, we went over 80% 13 times this month
Wow.
of capacity.
So you
So the
don't think we're
average-
actually pumping as much water as
We're
we're
not,
reaching?
he was showing, you know, the state wrote us up for, they said we did 92%, was it 92%? And that's probably a worst case scenario number, I'm trying to figure out where they got it from or what month they got it out, they probably this hottest summer month, which is probably August, September. But they have wrote us up for that 80% capacity, which means they expect us to be looking toward building a new facility. But I did tell the mayor when we got that fixed, it has been fixed enough to see that I don't think we'll, changing the valve completely out's not gonna fully change that a lot.
I can fully know that.
And in the summer, heat gets more hot, we're gonna use more, so that capacity is going up. But
So that would be showing up here, what we call water pump.
we won't go on yours,
It's not on here.
that's a calculation you gotta do from your data down there, but I can add something like that to this list.
No, I just was wondering if that's what we were talking about.
It ain't on this report, but
Okay.
in their sanitary survey, they wrote us up, and they kind of expect us to be looking towards that. Whatever we gotta do to get that capacity fixed, problem fixed.
So we're running at 80, we hit them 80%, 83%, you said, Mark, 3 times this month?
We're above 80, 13 times
13.
already, and I think it's last month. We got that thing fixed last month.
Okay.
We've been waiting to see how that hadn't affected it. But we pulled the data on it, and it's 13 times it went over. Of course, in 30 days, if it averages 80, that's what they're looking for too, so that may be the number they look for as an average. But it's, most time of the state, it's usually the worst case scenario one. They're gonna look at that average. They look at the max, minimum, and average. But 80 will be what they're looking for. So we coming down the road? We'll keep monitoring, it, but it is, we went over it 13 times, and if it's, we got the company, we come and make sure and calibrate it, and we might even buy, I've even looked at buying new water metering device for it. It's actually something they come up with, and you tap the line, and it's just a 2-inch tap. It's supposed to be very accurate for low, high flows, and it'll, we may just do that because it's not as invasive, and get a new meter in there in no time. Just put a tap on it. It's not cheap, but it's a new type metering device.
Right.
But it's something we put in there to help get that accurate data.
Yeah, keep us posted on those numbers.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that, getting that done.
Yeah, I think getting accurate data as soon as we can,
We are
you
working on that.
know, that's probably pretty good. We're really nudging that upper limit.
Yeah.
We need to know for sure if we actually are or not. Yeah.
I don't see Evan tonight, so.
He couldn't make it. We didn't have really nothing other than he's still waiting on SRF's paperwork. Anything else is just, we just waiting. Me and him have been working on that, like, the rate study thing where you see how your projects are, how much they're gonna cost you. And then you can input that number in there and you can change some numbers on your each rate and see how much you need to generate to make that money. Is your depreciation and your loan for that period of time, or for a period of time. And we've got it working. He was gonna go update all the, because now that everything's changed on pricing, he was gonna go update all these projects and give them more time, but he's still working on it. And then I'm gonna once we get all that done, we'll tie it to our budget and make it where it spans out over the time. Where you see the changes in the budget over time. We're working on that, so y'all can see what you got.
Keep going, Tom, keep going, go right on in your report.
Well, we left that on there just in case we had more to talk about the increase. He's got to evaluate the intake. Still, he's gotta do that. And determine how his capabilities are, how much it can. He's gonna figure out its max flow capability. That's what his goal was to do. He's gotta break out them old set of drawings we got and see what we can tell about it. But that right there is one of the things he's gonna have to do first, and then anything he needs from us, we'll help him pull that or whatever it needs. And we did get a email saying that and there's a online meeting, I think it's here in the future, I don't think we missed it, about if you need help or assistance with financing a study. The Corps has some kind of funding mechanism for that.
I know we talked about, becoming a regional water source. And how that would affect us in our withdrawal from where we at on trying to put that together.
We hadn't really worked much on it, the like they said, the SRF has incentives for that, which means you either go out and you talk to your neighbors and you get I think if we had contracts in place with them saying, right now you could send 1 million gallons to the Fayette with the 12-inch line and pump system sitting in place. If they don't have to buy it, but they say we won't guarantee for the next 40 years 1 million gallons a day if we want it. But they'll have to ante up, pay so much toward the construction of the water plants. And if you have those kind of agreements in place with all your neighbors, that would help get the amount of water you could say this is the amount of water we need, and plus your own needs. Figure all that up and say this is what we're gonna need. Well, and make sure that intake don't have to be changed, and make sure it's sufficient. Or you don't have to do nothing, I'll just pay for it. That would help the community pay for that.
It sounded like to me that this needs to be put in place ASAP to even, you know, I know we need to evaluate our size that we're drawing, but
And
it seems like it's a domino effect, you know.
Mr. Scholes is trying to give me some example contracts together. He's not got them yet. He's working on several things for us.
Would a simple letter of intent from these others, suffice rather than of your contract?
There's another meeting I saw today about SRF funding, and it's in next month sometime, but that might not be a bad online or join meeting
To
to
figure out.
ask questions to them, what's best to do if they got suggestions, but. Or we can call SRF directly, see if we can find somebody to talk to.
Have we approached any of our neighbors yet, just to even,
Um,
I mean, before you get to a contract, there's gotta be some kind of courtship here, you know, hey, are you interested, or, you know?
No, I think we only had that meeting with Core and TDEC a couple of weeks
That's
ago.
all we've
Right.
done so far.
And it was more TDEC talking about the regional part of it, because Core's basically is saying they're not gonna let other people run a pipe down to the river, they're just gonna. And based on that, TDEC brought up, I think they brought it up a decade ago, and they brought it up again, being like a regional water distributor.
Y'all did try the concept before,
Right.
that was trying before to do regional.
We pretty well had it worked out before.
I don't know, that's when y'all went from what you
That was
were.
my recollection, that it was all set in place, and that was part of the new plant, part of how it was gonna be funded, and
CCA supposedly had to fund.
But that was just-
To fund the water plant at the time.
I wasn't directly involved with it, but I remember hearing conversations about it. I mean, I think Mr. Ham was in charge then, and that was the direction it was going, and all of a sudden it just kind of went away for whatever reason, but I thought that was part of the funding mechanism, or to try to do the new water plant and whatnot, when they bought that land out there and all of those things. I may be remembering wrong.
It's tied to the prison somehow, because they have the concept. Mars Wagner did all the work to get it started. They had that report to the state. I supplied that last time ago. And I don't think, they had some ups and downs with CCA. It had like a little period where it just got dark.
I think it was when they first did it, and then they shut it down, and it went, like you say, dark for a while, and then when it was resurrected, that never got resurrected, if that makes sense. The solar plant did, but the water part
Water plant never got
did,
looked at.
did, but I know at one time it was heading that direction very
And I was looking at,
strongly.
at first when I started doing this study that we had, I had changed the thing on CCA's part, because, I thought about it, and I said, well, we can change it, because it says if you do change your other customers, you can change theirs, so I put that back in there, that deal.
Yeah.
By adding that minimum, if you add something to the minimum, then they're per thousand, it does, that kicks in, so you can do it as long as the contract, as long as you're doing it to your regular customer, residential customer, you can also do it to them. You just can't just raise them for the heck of raising them. But you can, that can be done. So I did add them, but I went back and put those changes also into that, so.
Just, I'm thinking, trying to brainstorm here real quick of what we can do to kind of get the ball started with some of our neighbors that we can supply. Is there a letter we need to draft, maybe?
Draft a letter, just
Or-
tell them this is our intent.
Or is this a phone call? I don't know, somebody help me.
We probably need to just start with an action plan, starting at the very top. Do we even want to pursue, for real, do we want to pursue getting more water?
Right.
What's step two? Step two is gonna be, no, we're gonna have to do regional, then we need to start doing studies. And I think calling our neighbors probably a few steps down before we make a decision to go down. Starts, number one, are we going down that road at all?
Right.
Kind of put a plan in place on what that's gonna look like.
To a meeting.
This 82%, you're talking 82, 83, is that of capacity of the plant, or is that our draw capacity?
Well, what I've been calculating and what I've been trying to get the number he's getting was you have to look at, you have 2 million gallon, and if you're pumping 1.6, that's if the raw water meter says 1.6, that's the calculation you're basing that against.
So it's on the draw.
It's on the ground.
So we're maxing out our draw as well. I mean, even if we build a gigantic water plant, we're not gonna
That's
have.
that calculation I can give you, and I can call and talk to them about how they did that. I called the state guy and asked him how he did that.
Well, let's just assume we're hitting it. Let's just say that's a fact. I mean, we're using 80% of our approved draw at this point, and
We need
building a
to-
bigger plant is not gonna
If you-
fix that problem.
But that's my question. At what capacity are we on the water plant? Can we draw 4 million and still up the capacity through the existing water plant?
They really don't do too well.
That's what I'm asking.
That's all they can do is two. No matter what
So
you do.
it's maxed out as 2.
Yeah, that's all you're allowed to draw.
And what's our,
No, but I'm saying,
That's-
what is it capable of producing? If your draw was more.
Yes, we gotta determine.
Okay.
so
That's
the
what
plant
they
could, the plant could do more if we had
No.
more draw.
No.
So the plant is maxed out where it is
So the
now.
plant's maxed out and the draw's maxed
If your filters are finite, they can only do so much.
Right, yeah.
out. That's all.
You have to add filters.
To me, it's 2 separate things. I
Yeah.
wanna make sure that the 2 separate things is,
Yeah,
we're
Yeah.
talking both.
Yeah, you're,
we need a new water
Does that
plant.
make sense?
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that little confusion, but yes, your plant's finite, your filters can only filter so many gallons a minute.
We need a new plant and we need more draws just to supply, our- even before we do
Anything.
anything with neighbors or anybody else.
That's what I'm thinking though, but it is separate, but I feel like it's equal because it helps us pay for this plan. It's the best way to run our plant.
Yeah.
And it's also a way for us to up our draw. If we become a regional water source, I think it'll be more attractive. If I understand this correctly, it'd kind of be more attractive for us to get a bigger draw than versus say, hey, we just need more water for ourselves.
Let me ask a question. What do we do if we can't get more water out of the Cumberland River? Charlesville County needs more water. We're not even worried about our neighbors. I don't think we can get
We
more
can
water.
quit selling to Cascade Springs today and some of these other, can we not?
They can get water from other resources.
So we would have to cut off our whatever. But
I mean, that would be
there's
the
a limit.
worst, that'd be the
Yeah,
worst.
but that's, I mean, there's a limit at some point where, an upper limit
And the
where.
thing that we've been trying to handle that by taking care of the loss.
Mhm.
If we
Yeah.
cut this loss and we've got more
We
water
got, we
available.
got 30% more, 40% more right now.
You could, if that, that being said, I don't know about hydraulics, how Castin rest their system works, I know not much about it. If our end of this system is what keeps them alive, and they can't get it from gas, somehow get it over here effective, then we probably would be like, cut them off.
Yeah, sure.
We
Yeah.
just can't do that, if that's the case now, if they say, well, we can get water from them.
Well, you probably say cut them off overnight.
I'm just saying
Phase it out.
Well, what are, I guess,
They may have to make adjustments to make that happen.
I'm asking a bigger question.
We could.
If the Cumberland River, if we need more water for whatever reason, the Cumberland River is not an option, what do we do to get water for this system? We dig a big well somewhere, or, how do we not even
Well,
do that?
The Corps just did a study. That's why they were taking their moratorium off. They said they don't see, even if with the increased draw, that it's going to affect the navigability of the river, because that's what they're looking at. They don't.
Sure, but
But they
again, if all of our neighbors say, we don't want water from Hartsville, but Hartsville needs more water, so we're all around in the islands. We can't get it from Cumberland River because the Corps wants us to have a distribution agreement. What
Well,
do we
that
do with
wasn't
What
the
do we do
Corps.
with
That wasn't the Corps suggestion. That was the Tennessee Department of Environment Conservation
Sure.
suggestion.
Okay, TDAC or whoever.
Right. So they're not really going to determine the draw. That's just TDEC throwing it out there saying there is this possibility that would enhance our application, but it's not going to determine the application because it's one's a state agency and the other is the feds.
Let me answer your question, if you hit your limits, you put your growth.
Yeah, you just can't,
You just-
no new water tap sales,
That's
nobody else.
The
gets more water.
moratorium moves from the river to you.
Yeah,
And that happens, I mean, that has happened a lot of places,
Okay.
I mean,
I've seen that in my neighbor, they had sewer issues so bad. They could sell a tap or a sewer tap for like 3 or 4 years.
yeah, okay.
until they got that fixed.
So we're gonna, I mean, let's assume and hope that one way or another we'll get draw out of TDEC, out of the Cumberland. And whether it's for us or us and our neighbors, we're just putting all our eggs in that basket, you know.
Because it's double fold too on that, even on that part, it's double fold, because even if they do up our draw, our plant can't hold it.
Yeah,
Well, I think this is coming from the top down. I think the state sees the growth that we're having in the Middle Tennessee area, and they're putting pressure on them.
they know
To be
it's
able,
gonna be.
You know, you gotta find a way to let us have more water,
Mhm.
and that's why we're seeing them loosening these restrictions. and
Yeah.
everything. So probably the likelihood, if we put together a
It's good, yeah, I
relatively
agree with you,
convincing
yeah.
package that they're.
Even if it's us and that page,
Approve.
you know, check the box.
The amount of draw depends on your plan. Who you gonna help, and what you need, if your neighbor needs something. If you got, the more plan you have, the more they lay back and forth. It's just what.
So we need,
The biggest question we had, if I remember correctly, was the size of our intake.
which is
Our
what
intake
Evans analyzed.
Be
right
able
now.
to
Now, if you
actually
intake,
flow.
if your intake's big enough and get what you think you need, then you don't have, the core's decision making is not even, you go just to TDEC. If you have to fool in that river, then you got to deal with both entities. You got both entities.
That's the big key right now.
Could we, I guess, in that really kicks off probably all our other options. Could we kind of emphasize to Evan that we want
Yeah.
a pretty quick answer on
We
that?
had a conversation, I'm gonna have that conversation with.
That'd be good.
I'll
And then that
reiterate
lets us
with
know
you
where we
tomorrow.
stand to plan everything else. Maybe we kind of make our plan based off of what he comes back with.
I think that's the key piece of the puzzle we're waiting on.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Waiting on that.
Waiting on that. All right. Approval for serve line. Sewer coverage. We got the water.
I looked this over. I mean, is this the same company?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Sign down.
So this would just be offering something else to the customers that need it, that they don't have to take it, if they want to sign up for it, they can. I don't know why they wouldn't, but,
Could you give us some highlights of what is actually covered like that?
Same
Let's use
thing-
that lady,
Same
for
thing from the
example,
foundation to the.
from the foundation.
Looks like the water,
We're not paying for Servpro to come clean up the roof, we're just fixing the pipes.
it'll fix any problem they got in the drain.
Okay,
We don't pay for it.
it's, sure, it's.
Now,
the-
if they have it has a component like we do on water, the line, they'll come and repair a line if they have the line. It'll just the water, the service,
Mhm,
like it does the water.
Sure,
but some of the things it does coverage is, it says reseeding and landscaping expenses up to $500. Restoration, private paved surfaces. So, I mean, it's more than just the line. I mean,
Yeah, if they have to tear up your driveway, they'll fix it back up to a certain amount. That's the way it is in the water. Same thing on the water too.
I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't want to offer. Do we have to have a minimum number of customers?
No.
Are we
Sign
gonna,
up for it, or?
No, they just, all they will do if you approve whichever you want to approve, they will advertise it for 2 months and then it'll go into effect, I think, in September.
do we want the water leak protection is an opt-out option, correct?
Yeah, they can,
Do we
well,
want-
both,
Do we want to make this an opt-out or are we gonna make it an opt-in?
I think on the water side, we opt everybody in and they
Yeah.
had a choice.
Correct, you have to intentionally opt out. Is that correct? I might be wrong about that.
But we've got. I don't know that, but
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, on the little flyer thing they put together here, it has a bolded thing that says Hartsville Trousdale Utility District customers are automatically enrolled in our sewer loss protection program and charges will appear on your bill. And it gives a phone number to call to decline protection and accept full responsibility for excess sewer charges. So yeah, it's opt out.
And they record those conversations they have, if somebody opts out. So if somebody comes back and says, I didn't do that, they got it. record of it.
I'm in favor of it. I would like to however loudly and proudly we can tell all of our customers that they're gonna get a new $2 on their bill before they stack up at this doorway. next
These
month.
flyers that I give you, that they're gonna be mailed to every customer, they'll have that.
The ones that have the sewer, I mean, are they gonna select ones?
That's a good point, Mary. Yeah, 'cause not everybody has a
Now,
cell.
they know we only have so many.
And
We'll run a
that's-
sewer
Okay.
list too.
Yeah, I don't want to pay for it on my septic system.
Yeah.
No, so if it's just the ones that are
Yeah.
on sewer now,
Yeah,
would be
just
the only
be our
ones that
current
would be
sewer.
eligible for it. Are we talking about $2 on the leak reduction and $6.50 on the line coverage?
We now have a 2,500 on the water, up to $2,500, that would match what you have.
Right.
And then we do the,
I mean, for the difference between 1,000 and the 2,500, it's stupid not to
yeah,
do the 2,500. I mean,
and I've seen some of our customers spend anywhere from 1,000 to
well, sure,
3,000, so.
it's the same as what the water is.
So we just need a motion to approve to put this in place.
Yes, they just need a motion for y'all approving, and then you pick which selection, if you want 2,500 coverage, I mean, but.
Absolutely, we want that, and then so the total cost would be $885, is that correct? On residential, if you're doing
Yeah,
both,
650 plus the 235.
so that's $885.
Needs about that, ain't what, on the water.
Less than $10
Take
a month.
Together though, if you
Yeah,
had
but
both of
that's-
them. Other than three,
Okay, okay.
they take 20 if you do both on water,
So it's basically the same,
pretty close.
pretty close to the same.
Motion to approve the implementation of the sewer leak protection and sewer line coverage with Servaline for our customers.
Did you say?
No, I didn't say.
Nobody's seconded it yet.
No. Well, I guess I'll have to second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right.
Well, I know that there's some people that will be upset, won't understand it, but it really and truly is for what they're gonna get out of it and some of the issues you have and the aging infrastructure of the lines, I think it's really a good thing.
The major problem, I think the major problem with this is gonna be reaching the people that's gonna, because you have to opt out and
Yeah.
letting them know, but that's the same
We did.
trouble that any organization is gonna have. I mean,
So
it's
when you
hard
put
to
it in the paper, make sure that you put in there that they have that.
Oh,
Yeah, please.
oh,
Yeah, they
You
got.
know, like big blue letter,
Oh.
color
See
edition,
if I can
front
get on
page.
the radio with Mr. Cheese down there and have him do a little advertising. down
Well,
there.
they'll be talked, as long as people.
yeah, let's do that. I know they
We're
said they're gonna
trying to
send a
make it as
separate,
obvious as we can on anything.
I know they're gonna send a separate letter. We can't get anything on our bill to show anything.
It'll come
beforehand.
out in your bill.
So it'll be in the same envelope with the bill and everything.
See, that's free, that's, our company pays it. The last thing I noticed, I said it costs design.
Right, right.
When will this actually be in place? Next building cycle?
They will advertise this for 2 months and then it'll go online 9/1. They'll do July, they'll put July bill, August bill, and then September 1st, go online.
I think that's a good thing.
Thank you, Tom, for your report. No public here, so we'll skip over public comments. Board member comments? We're gonna slam tonight.
I will inform the board that the Budget and Finance Committee did look at the budget last night and approved it, forwarded to the full body. I don't anticipate any issues with it. I think there is some, whether it needs to be just this board or it needs to be the commission, it probably needs to be this board puts it together and sends it to them for their approval. We can iron out those details between now and next year, but I don't anticipate it being a problem this year, is what I'm saying. Same thing with the building, there's a resolution passed through the building committee to do it, and there was some questions last night, but I expect it to pass next Monday night. I can't guarantee it. But, there will be some dissent, but I think it will pass. That's my best input, and just to let you know where that's at.
You have questions?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Third,
Right.
I got that. All in favor, get up and leave.
All in favor?
I'm
Still made that last season. I'm sorry, guys.
Hey.
I apologize. It's been a lot of meetings this week.